This year, auto manufacturers expect to sell 1.7 million compact sedans in America, making it one of the most hotly contested segments in the country. Which is why we're here with another massive comparison test that only MotorTrend can execute. We've gathered 8 of the most popular C-segment sedans, including heavyweights from Honda, Toyota, and Ford, redesigned models from Volkswagen and Hyundai, and newcomers from Chevy and Kia. What we're going to do is take them out and do our standard MotorTrend testing, and then up to Tehachapi, California for driving loops. After that, we'll sit down with our judges and discuss the merits of each vehicle, taking into consideration things like value, styling, performance, and fuel economy.
It's what compacts used to be, cheap and cheerful. This is the only one here with an as-tested price of less than $20,000.
And for that, you still get most of the features that the other cars have, and for a little more, you can get all of the features, so you're not really missing out on anything.
I think it looks good. I don't think it looks great.
This car has what the youth market looks for, an easy iPod connection, decent stereo. Otherwise, the interior is fairly plain and dark.
Another aspect of the 3 that's not stellar is the back seat. We put 2 and 3 people in there. I'd say it was average.
The 2-liter 4-cylinder engine is a pretty nice, quiet, refined engine. It revs freely. It's a fun-to-drive car, and
it's really the driver's car. The chassis is really responsive. It handles really well.
The steering, I would say it's the best in this group. Very light, it's direct, it's linear, it's got a great feel. Like you just really feel connected to the car, to the road. I like the exterior styling. I think it's really mature, it's sporty, it's European.
The worst part about the CRUZE has to be the interior. The hard plastic dash is just horrible, and the cloth inserts are the same.
So even though it's a big car in the segment, back seat suffers. The package inside is not that great.
Now the CRUZE's EPA fuel economy rating is towards the back of the group, and part of that's it's the heaviest car here.
Pretty fond of the engine. It's a 1.4 turbo, so the torque is pretty good mid-range. So you step on the throttle and you can really kind of come out of turns nicely. The transmission, at least in manual mode, the shifts are kind of slow to respond. Seems to be about a quarter-second delay.
One of the best things about the CRUZE is it's really quiet inside. Even out on the freeway at high speeds, it's a very nice ride. And even when you get onto a windy road, the car feels very solid and planted, and it handles pretty well.
The styling of the Jetta is among the best in the group. It's really sleek, it's really sharp.
For me, this car was quite a step back from the previous Volkswagen Jetta.
The problem with the Jetta is that it costs $26,000, which is almost $2,000 more than the next most expensive car in the test. And for that price, the interior really is a letdown.
To make this car competitive with Hondas and Toyotas, Volkswagen took a lot of money out of the interior.
Obviously it has the most torque by far, the most power. The transmission is also excellent. It's a dual clutch unit, and they've really revamped that transmission to work well with the diesel engine.
The best part of it is the powertrain, which I think is a bit of a ringer. I think to compete with these other cars in the low 20s instead of the high 20s in terms of dollar price, the car should have come with a 2.5-liter 5-cylinder. That's the mainstream engine for the Jetta in the United States.
All right, so what can I say about the Elantra that hasn't already been said? I do like the way it's styled quite a bit. I call it the atomic guppy. It's quite attractive to my eye. Others say it might get dated very soon.
Very nice interior, even has heated seats in the back. Now we've got the top trim level, of course, but it's also one of the quietest cars here, maybe the quietest car among our 8 compacts.
It's loaded to the gills with features. It has the entire kit and about 3/4 of the caboodle of the things you would find in higher-end luxury cars.
Probably the biggest flaw is the steering. It needs some feel to it, needs some feedback.
I didn't find it to be that bad, but it did lack a bit of precision, particularly when you were taking it up into the canyons. But you know, for around town and on the freeways and commuting, it's fine for me.
Well, the Hyundai Elantra, I think, is close to the ideal of the type of car that will get Americans to downsize from mid-size sedans to compact sedans.
So the Ford Focus is basically a working example of how important a good set of tires are. The Michelin PS3s transform this car. They make it the best handling, almost the best accelerating, the best stopper in the group.
Ford chose to use an electronic limited slip differential on this car instead of a mechanical one. Some people are going to cringe at that, but really it works well.
It's great that it has a twin clutch transmission in this segment. This and the Jetta are the only two cars that have that. What's disappointing is how clunky and how unpolished the twin clutch feels. Leading from a stop in slow speeds, you get all this kind of shuddering when changing gears.
With the sportiest suspension and the most aggressive tires, we really expected this car to ride the worst and to be the loudest, but it really wasn't like that at all.
Well, when you hop inside, it kind of feels like you're getting into an alien spaceship. The design is so different from anything else in this field.
While the Focus Titanium isn't slow, it never really feels fast. The chassis is so good that you're always kind of wanting more power. It really makes us look forward to the Focus ST, but this one, you just never feel like you're on the edge.
One of the best arguments you can make for the Forte is it's a really great value. You get a lot of features, iPod and Bluetooth, and all these things for a really low price. It's one of the cheapest cars here.
And in this class, the more upscale features like that you can pack into a car while keeping the cost down is impressive.
Not in love with the interior though. There was a few problems I had inside. I thought the shifter in particular is quite overwrought. It's very dark and really has a real sort of basic transportation kind of feel.
It's really fun to drive. It's light and it's really agile.
Very chuckable, a lot of fun to throw into corners, felt light, steering was positive and pretty precise.
The engine is actually the second most powerful in the test, but it delivered the second worst performance numbers.
You give it the throttle and it's just not moving. You know, these aren't sports cars, I know, but there are other cars that had better, more refined, quicker engine response.
When the Forte first came out a year and a half, 2 years ago, it looked really sharp. It was really new direction for Kia, but when you get it next to all these competitors, it's actually gotten old already. It really blends into the crowd. You don't see it.
Now with the Toyota Corolla, I actually kind of like the way it looks. There are some people here who thought it was kind of plain Jane styling, but for me it is it's very solid. It's got a sort of a handsome nose that reminds you of a Camry.
There is a good car somewhere in there. It's just hidden by equipment that is just behind the times in this group.
It really is sort of old school feeling. It's got a 4-speed automatic. Steering is really sort of Toyota numb, as people like to say.
When you're on the freeway, when you're going up a mountain pass, you're either lugging in third gear or you get too much of a kick down and you're in second and the thing's just zinging towards red line.
It does have some problems inside. It doesn't feel quite so luxurious as some of the others.
The car is so successful is because it has a Toyota badge. I really wish people would look more closely at the quality of the pieces on it, and I wish Toyota would pay more attention to making a better car and not just a profit maker.
As a basic commuter car, a lot to recommend, but nothing that really does stand out.
The Civic may be the heavyweight in this category, but it's the flyweight in this comparison. It's almost 500 pounds lighter than the heaviest car here.
It has a more mature feel now, and what I mean by that is it's smoother, it's quieter, it's more refined. It really feels like a baby Accord now.
It's not the most fun to drive, but it's not bad either. It's got decent turn-in on the mountain roads.
Previous car had 140 horsepower, the new car has the same. Now fuel economy is up, so that's great, but I do wish it had more power. The previous generation looked really good. It was a really standout car as far as styling. The new car looks actually quite similar, but not as good.
Biggest problem I have with the Civic is that I physically don't fit in the car. I'm 6'3", a little over 200 pounds, and I just can't get comfortable in it. There's not enough headroom. I have to sit kind of funny in it. My leg ends up getting sore from the gas pedal angle. It just wasn't designed for someone of my size.
The Civic is a car I could recommend to friends, family who don't care about cars. And I could recommend this car without any issue, without any hesitation, because it's just so competent at driving.
So after 3 days of instrumented testing and real-world drive loops, we have a winner. But it wasn't easy. Several of our editors noted repeatedly how close in performance, value, and feature set all of the competitors were. And there were compelling arguments for choosing more than just one winner. But that's not how we do it here at MotorTrend. There can be only one. And in this case, it's the Hyundai Elantra. The secret to the Elantra's win? Keeping it real. In this case, really stylish, authentically sophisticated, and content-rich. Our editors liked the Elantra's smooth and modern sheet metal, even though some thought it might age quickly. Inside, the Elantra was king, and not just when it came to style and comfort. Hyundai managed to stuff an impressive array of standard features into Elantra, including a power sunroof, Bluetooth connectivity, and leather seating surfaces that are heated in front and back. Few cars in the industry even offer this as an option. Ride quality was also singled out as superior, a happy marriage of the lightness found in the Civic and smooth ride of the Jetta and CRUZE. The only quality our judges took issue with was a lack of sharpness in the Elantra's steering, which really isn't a problem when cruising or commuting. Compared to every other car here, the Elantra feels grown up and sophisticated, concluded one of our judges, and in the end, that is why it won. The Hyundai Elantra offers the most compelling combination of styling, packaging, comfort, and efficiency, all for a price that is hard to beat.